throw things around like I do in my own house. Up on the couch, on the piano, wherever it fits.
I will call the meeting of the Conservation Commission for May 3rd open. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from April 19th.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We have 3 public hearings. So we have 327 East Street here. So we'll open that one first.
All right.
Do we usually give you these ones or the
Yep, they go to me.
Thank you. Big stack.
And I will read it into record. Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended. On the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaws, rules and regulations, the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing 3rd of May 2016 in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street, for a request for determination of applicability filed by Collins Engineering on behalf of William Kane to determine whether the activities associated with an upgraded residential septic system at 327 East Street are subject to the Wetland Protection Act. And we're open.
All right. For the record, I'm Peter Lyons with Collins Civil Engineering Group, here tonight with Mr. William Kane, the owner. As mentioned, what we have is a residential septic repair on a 4-bedroom house. We have wetlands that pretty much wrap around the existing tree line, as indicated by the green. The 50-foot and 100-foot buffers are shown respectively. The proposed components are all pretty much outside the 100-foot, with the exception of a little corner of the system and some of the associated grading. Part of the project is also going to be decommissioning the existing components, which are a series of pits on the side of the house and off to the rear. So we're proposing a silt fence from the back of the house over to the stone wall and back up the property line. Everything slopes off to the back, so that's going to help us catch any debris. All the work's to be done in existing lawn areas. I don't believe we're proposing any trees to come down. The plan, to my knowledge, has been approved by the Board of Health already. Any questions or concerns in particular?
No, I would say that if I didn't know better, he read my report and kind of followed along with it. But other than saying something about the trees, it's pretty much what I've reported to him, Peter, and I'm satisfied with it. It's a big effort to keep it out of jurisdiction as much as possible, and also it's a vast improvement over what's there right now.
Anybody in the audience? Questions? Comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative free.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Moving second, all those in favor? So moved.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
All right, so we have number 9 Woodrow. What I'm going to do is kind of open them at the same time so I don't have to read it twice.
No, that's fine.
You do that.
Yeah, why don't you?
Under the Wetland Protection Act, Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Law is amended. And the West Bridgewater Wetland Protection Bylaw Rules and Regulations. The West Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing the 3rd of May 2016, in the McDonald Brown Conference Room, 65 North Main Street. A notice of intent filed by Peter Lavoy on behalf of Brian Cook proposes to construct a single-family home with associated amenities. 10 Woodrow Lane. And 9 Woodrow Lane.
I have the green cards.
Yeah, green cards.
They're for both. I sent them out together.
All right.
Okay, for the record, my name's Peter Lavoy. I work with Landmark Site Design. I'm here for Ryan Cook. The first lot, which is 9 Woodrow, is on lot 7. Basically, the cul-de-sac, it's at the end of the cul-de-sac right here. There is a detention basin on this side of the page, next to lot 6. So this is the lot that runs right directly at the end of the cul-de-sac. It's a vacant lot. It slopes. It's pretty flat. If you go out there, it's flat. Wetland line is back here in the green. Basically, it's the same wetland line that was used for the subdivision. And then we have a 50-foot no-touch right here. This lot does have a conservation easement of roughly 13,000 square feet in size, which is basically the 50-foot to the wetland area. Basically what we want to do is we want to construct a house in this location here, in the center of it. Proposed septic would be in the front yard, right in this location here, with the reserve under the driveway. Proposed water line will come around the side. We are showing an underground chamber for recharge in the back of the house, right here in orange. And then along the 50-foot no disturb, we are proposing the PVC pipe with the markers. And that's basically it for this lot.
John, do you have anything?
I've got a couple of questions. I noticed that we don't have a DEP file number.
For this one, we do.
Number 9 we do?
Yeah, number 9 we do.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
328-695.
Yep,
I
you're right.
checked.
I stand corrected.
I did call about the other one too, because they were submitted the same time, so I don't understand why they only gave me
So
one.
number 10 doesn't have it?
Number 10 doesn't, no.
All right, another question I have is, do you have a copy of the notification that you sent to the abutters? While he's looking for that, I need to pass out this signing sheet for everybody who's here.
I have this.
All right. Basically, it's a standard form, and it talks about the applicant, that there's going to be a filing with the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission, and that copies of an amended notice of intent
Oh.
would be obtained from the applicant, or information can be found at the West Bridgewater Conservation Commission. So this is an amended notice, and then it goes on to say that it's going to be published in the Taunton Gazette 5 business days before the public hearing. And I don't know how many of the abutters get the Taunton Gazette, but it was published in the Enterprise, so some of the abutters may have never looked there, possibly. So I do have some concern over whether all the abutters got properly notified. We do have the cards there, right?
Yeah.
All right, so technically they did get notified if they were sent green cards, so we don't have to worry too much about that, but it was a concern.
Sorry.
The other concern is that, is there any indication as to whether these are proposed or existing? You know, did your survey developed the contours, or were those compiled from the subdivision?
They came from the subdivision, and the survey did verify the grades on the lot.
Okay, in the roadway out in front?
Correct.
Because a number, and I'll let the abutters speak for themselves, but they've come to the office and have explained to me during the regular business day that the actual cul-de-sac seems to be not lining up with the abutters. So for example, one abutter would say the cul-de-sac's supposed to be directly behind my house and it isn't, or that it's a lot farther back. So that's why I was concerned about if this was a result of a survey or compiled plan.
I mean, I can verify that.
All right,
I'll have to verify that.
all right.
Because I had nothing to do with the staking of the roadway, so I don't, you know what I'm saying? Basically I just went out there and we as-builted the area
For
on
the
the
lot?
lots, not the roadway. So I'd have to verify that, because I did not stake the roadway.
All right.
You wouldn't necessarily do that, would you?
No, normally, no, you would just find the lot lines and just do an as-built from that.
Right.
Because I know the construction company that constructed it, they do their own layout.
Yes.
So they also stake other things, you know, they stake the houses. I just give them a CAD drawing, and then they would stake it out. They don't even have me do that.
All right. You've submitted a number of these already on behalf of that developer,
That is correct.
and submitted as-bills.
That is
Are
correct.
they giving you the as-built info, or are you doing it?
I do the as-built
Okay.
info
All right.
personally.
And how have you found those as-bills to be?
I thought they were fine.
I mean, in terms of location versus where they were proposed.
They're pretty close. They're
Right.
pretty close to right on.
All right, and then the last issue, I suppose, in reviewing the plan, they are proposing the drainage via the swales here to direct the water around the house and around the back to the wetlands, and they are not showing it flowing onto the abutters. Of course, if this was permitted, one of the conditions of the approval would be to have a as-built plan prepared showing that the grading does in fact run the way it was proposed and not towards the abutters. So we'll be, if again approving it, it'll be a requirement to show that grading so that there is no impact on the abutters. And I guess the real big item that I have a concern about is that the developer was given approval to build the road and the drainage system, and one of the requirements that the developer was supposed to comply with was to demonstrate to the commission that the drain system is working the way it was designed by a different engineer than the one appearing before you tonight. And they haven't done that. So I think because these are the last two.
No, we still have 4 and 1. I think those are the last two. 4 and 1.
How do they demonstrate it, John?
Providing us an interim as-built.
So, you know, I mean, you don't actually have to see flow conditions to...
No, we need to see that the elevations on the drain pipes are all what the original engineer proposed, because that's the only way to know that it's going to work the way it was designed. So I'm suggesting to the commission that while they work on addressing some of the issues that were brought up tonight, that they also get busy on getting the interim as-built in here to show what the grades are for these pipes.
In the basins?
In
You
the
want
basin.
basins as-built?
So I can address that with your client by informing them. That's one of the things the commission will want, but I'm just saying it right now so that you can consider it and see if you want to make it a condition of a future meeting on this. And other than that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman. And
Just a quick question. I take it that whoever developed this is a different.
Yeah, it was a different engineering company that did the road.
Basic development and
Correct.
drainage and all that, and you're just doing.
And I'm just doing the individual lots.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
would your firm have the ability to certify that it
Yes.
conforms to the
Mhm.
original design?
Okay,
Okay.
we could, if the developer wants us, we can do the as-built of the pipes and the basins and get the as-built to you and certify it that it was built to design.
All right.
And at the same time, we would verify that the road is in the right location.
That would do it, actually. You
Yeah, I
know,
don't-
it actually killed two birds with one
Right.
stone.
Okay.
Anybody else on the commission have anything? If not, I'll open it up to anybody in the audience. Questions, comments? Yes.
Yeah, Joseph Vitucci, 25 Timothy Drive. It was touched on earlier for a short period, the swale. The location of the beginning of the swale, I believe, is going to be from the southeast corner of my line, my back line. And it's going to run in the southerly direction behind now Mr. Harkinson's lot. And then it's going to make a turn to the left. I guess my first question is regarding the swale. Who has to maintain that swale for maintenance or to make sure it's operating?
Landowner.
Landowner, whoever
The landowner.
property it's on.
There's no guarantee to that, is there?
Well, also the topography on the existing topography that we're not disturbing, it all flows, it flows to the west. So the runoff is flowing from your lot toward, down this way. So, I mean, that's a pretty wide swale. It's not a narrow swale. The only narrow part is right here, in this location
That's
here,
what I
but
was
the rest is
concerned about, How
wide.
wide that
Oh, it's
swale
on
would
the other
be.
side, that's right.
Okay, well, the narrowest point, this is probably roughly 6 to 8 feet wide over here. And then it opens up.
At the beginning.
At the beginning,
That's
yeah.
where my line is.
Correct, but it's gonna go this way, then it's just gonna go, it's gonna follow the existing grade out towards the wetlands.
I think, Mr. Chairman, who mentioned it, the property owner needs to maintain that?
Right.
Whoever
Part of-
buys
Have you
it.
ever had any problems in the past where some type of obstacle or obstacles or whatever blocked the swale and prevented it from operating correctly?
Part of the order of conditions, as long as they've met that, nothing to say that in 10, 15 years, they can't go and put a barrier. But it's not part of the permit process, and if it was a barrier put in, they would be in non-compliance of it. So we'd have enforcement action to have them fix it or bring it back to what was permitted.
I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but I don't know if it comes into play. The culvert that goes underneath North Elm Street, which comes from where this water is gonna be flowing into, is there like a similar type of a swale down in that area that transfer that water underneath North Elm? Or is it just gonna back up in the wetland?
This
I'm-
Sorry.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that-
I mean,
this
Is
wetland,
that culvert gonna be able to handle that forced water now, really, which the swale is gonna present?
I mean, the runoff is going that way now. I mean, the only thing that we're doing is we're changing the ground cover from wooded to grass. And then the roof runoff is being collected, and that's impervious, so that would affect the rate, but that's going into an underground recharge area, so that's kind of holding some of the water back. So, and this was designed, basically, the subdivision was designed and graded out similar in this area, if you look at the definitive plans. So they've taken into account with the design of the basins and the drainage to hold back the water, so they're not increasing any runoff to that wetland. So if you look at the original subdivision that was approved with respect to the development of these lots, they're pretty similar to what was approved. So I don't think this small disturbance is going to affect the wetland.
Is that swale in place now?
No, it's not. It'll be built when this lot is constructed. I mean, and the grade is really not gonna change too much. If you go out there right now,
It's
the
the way
grade
it
is-
is right now, yeah.
the location where it's gonna be affected is gonna be just over the system. This area here is probably coming up 3 feet, but the side over here is, the grade's only changing like a foot. So basically what you see out there now in the front of the lot, it'll be a little bit higher, but this is a walkout, so this is gonna come out to grade, so this is all working together. And also, that's another reason why we filed these two lots together, because they basically are gonna be constructed at the same time, just because it's kinda like one site. It's a small area to work in.
Mhm.
So, but the grade is not gonna change that much from
Are there any
existing to
issues
proposed
now?
right now.
Any issues around your property now?
Well, because of the construction on the other side, on the beginning of Woodrow, once a number of those trees went down, I never had a wet cellar, but on 2 occasions I did. I don't know what this is gonna present, okay? The culvert on Timothy Drive, one of the culverts flows towards the, Brookswoods. And the other one, I don't know where that flows to, underneath Woodrow or whatever. But in answer to your question, yes, on 2 occasions, I did have water since the building of the start of the clearing of the lots.
Yeah.
I just want, Joe, right?
Yeah, sure.
You just mentioned there's a culvert on Timothy that you, or at least 2, or maybe 2, that flow, one towards Brooks Place.
One does flow towards the, yeah, towards, it would be towards Brooks. It'd be going west, in a westerly direction.
So it's going that way.
From Timothy towards the pond. The other culvert, I believe, flows easterly.
And does it have an outlet near this property line, or?
That I only know that there was a culvert there at one time.
Okay, I'll have to look into it. I'm not aware of one.
Basically, any of the runoff that you're creating by raising the system is going to the left and right of the property.
Yeah, it's gonna go this way,
Yep.
and this whole backyard is basically a swale, and then this area here will go this way. And you can see the topography, you're starting right here at 111, 110, 109, so it's going that way towards the wetland.
And the runoff that comes from the front of this house and system, where does that go?
It splits, there's a high point here, so half of it's going that way, and half of it's going to 6.
And if it does go out into the street, where does it go?
It goes into the drainage in the street.
There's a catch basin over here?
Catch basin down there,
Okay.
because the basin is right next to 6.
Okay.
But I don't think the way the grade is, I think most of it's gonna go towards the back, it's not gonna go towards the street. Very little will go towards the street.
Just want to make sure that this is pitched enough to channel it
Right.
out.
So from a site grading point of view, it appears that the design of this is taking into consideration not putting water onto the abutters. We still have the unanswered question about the street drainage system and the
Right.
location of the cul-de-sac. That needs to be confirmed, but I think just for the abutters' point of view, I think it meets the general engineering practices for directing runoff that DEP and the Conservation Commission normally requires. That's not to say that you still don't have any concerns, so we do want to hear what your concerns might be.
You got a
Do
question?
you have a map that you're looking at that we could have? Because the map that we have, our original map, we have the cul-de-sac is behind Joe Ratusi's, which is not, it's behind Mitch and Tono's. And that, Dupre's, it's way down this way, and that's plot 7. That's where the cul-de-sac is. I mean, if you go out there and look, that's where it is. It's not near Ratusi's at all. It's down a whole lot.
She thinks it's down here.
Further back?
Do you want to look at the original copy?
This is what we,
Yeah.
this is what we always see.
Right.
And that's not what you're looking at. We don't have one of those.
What is your name?
This is the latest.
McGarry, Mary Lou McGarry. See, this is where it's supposed to be. See, this is where, and it's really here, in that whole lot. And that affects the wetlands.
While you're looking at that, my name is Steve McGarry. I'm her beloved husband. We've been in our house on 10 Timothy Drive for 45 years now, and we've seen a lot go on as far as construction goes. Bayberry went in quite a few years ago, and then they started the original building where they're going at. We have a house that has water, and we've had a film taken that shows that it's all shale from the east side of Timothy Drive, which is where most of the abutters are, to the west side. And the water flows into my yard at quite a rate, where on a rainy day, it pools in the back. Once it gets to a level, my sump pump now goes off every 15 seconds when it rains heavy. And so we're very concerned that, and we also, by the way, have another notice to come to another one. We're in a butter for a meeting that you have in here tomorrow night as well. So we have 2 people building on our area again now. And I mean, it's hard for me at 73 years old to be able to keep up with all this. I just want to be damn well sure that the drain is going the right way, because I don't think I can take any more of it. I mean, every 15 seconds is an awful lot of work for a sump pump to do.
And you're number 10?
10 Timothy. And 6 Timothy, their film, they're not here, but their film showed the shale that goes right across from their area to our area, where there's no place for water to run off.
Now, when you say film, what do you?
I guess they called it slate when they did the seismology or whatever it was that they did
The
on it.
Walshes across the street, when they were putting in their house.
They have 3 sump pumps in their cellar. And we're in a tough spot there, because we get most of the water heading towards West Meadows or wherever it winds up. I don't know where it winds up, but I know it's pretty scary when you hear that pump continually going off, I can tell you that. Because unfortunately, the people that built our house in 1968 weren't the brightest either.
Well, we have a full cellar.
Yeah.
Probably would have been better for a slab or part
absolutely.
cellar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's our main concern, and with the same with the meeting tomorrow, is we just want to make sure that no more water is going to hit us than what's hitting us right now.
Is it for the same development?
No.
No, it's on-
Progressive Circle? You never even heard of it. It's between Progressive and Spring Street.
That's for tomorrow, I thought.
Planning?
Yeah, it's a.
Must be
one-lot
planning.
subdivision,
Yeah, one
I
lot,
think.
yeah.
So this does kind of make you believe
Is
that
the
they're,
approved plan, though? Is
It's
that,
not.
Yes, that's what we came
Is
down
it?
with.
Oh, it is?
no, I'm saying, is that the approved
I don't-
plan? I don't know. It's
At
only
one
a copy
At
of
one
it.
time.
At one
perhaps.
time, it was
At one time, it
proposed.
might be a sketch or a preliminary plan.
We all were down here for that meeting. when we
Well, it's
did the-
preliminary, why would the houses be built already? I don't,
No.
it doesn't make sense to me.
we're gonna get to the bottom of
I'll
it.
verify that.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking at it.
Can I look at that?
Yeah.
for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Jim Henderson, 22 Timothy Drive. My first question is, who is the original engineer on this?
If I remember correctly, it was Silva Engineering.
And they're not doing this because why?
I don't know that.
Developer wanted somebody new.
Okay. Did the town have an engineer on this project? Do you know?
It would have been reviewed at some point.
As far as the
For
subdivision
planning
road?
board, Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the planning board usually has someone do the inspections.
Correct, and you usually will go with their engineer as well.
Not on this one because the original developer hasn't asked for a certificate to show that he complied with it, and this is,
And the original developer is I.W. Harding,
yes, yeah.
who we all have problems with. And that is on record. We have serious problems with this developer. I don't know what can be done, but I think something needs to be rechecked up there. I personally, on my own home, have never had water until this project started. And I don't know whether it's because, it's not so much of the digging, I think it's because of the removal of the trees. They absorb a heck of a lot of water. And up above, there's another 2 houses going in, up off of what, Spring Street? Not Spring. Sunset.
Sunset.
There's a series of underground brooks and streams that come through there. And I think it's being affected very heavily.
No.
And I think something has to be looked at there. You know, I know it's not this gentleman's problem. However, it is your problem and my problem.
Evelyn Bandel, 13 Timothy Drive, and it's our problem because our property is the one that's right between the one up here and the one here, and here we are, and we've always had water, and we're the low point, and the water that comes from their property comes down right by our property, and we get it all. So we continue, our sump pump goes off all the time, even when it's dry. So
We
it just,
could say that ours isn't any worse than it's always been,
No.
but it's always been bad.
so it's been bad, and again, it's the position of the road, I can't read, but it's next to Woodrow Lane, the circle there, is there like a what does it say right there?
Right here,
Yes,
21 Timothy.
21 Timothy, so is that?
That's
That's
just
just
you
right.
talking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The circle, because the circle actually is up. It should be around that whole property line there. The circle actually
By number
is
17?
in back. You can see it on Google Earth. It's actually totally in back of your property line, the circle.
I'm centered with the center of the circle.
The center of the
I'm pretty
circle.
much kind of the center.
Year 21?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's-
so the whole thing is actually shoved up, which means there's less room to the wetlands than it shows in the picture.
Yeah, and
No, I was out there tonight, and I measured from here to the tree line that was out there, and that distance there was roughly 190 feet.
And that's what you have here?
Yes. Because what they did is they staked this 50-foot line from the original subdivision plans. So, you can go out there. It's got flagging that they staked.
Well, I think if we have a certified as-built showing where the corner is, we have a licensed individual certifying to it, then that kind of takes away the visual distortions that you might have standing and looking and that kind of thing. So I think we'll get to the bottom of it, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Van Low, 13 Timothy Drive. Does this drawing involve showing any change at all to the 50-foot buffer
No.
line?
No.
Or the wetlands line?
No.
No.
No change whatsoever. They're in their same spot. The reason I ask that, all of the markers in the back are gone, you know, the little pink flags and green or orange and white flags, they're not there anymore. So you can't really tell where that 50-foot buffer is just by standing there and looking.
And the way that,
I could reflag it if you want me to.
the way that's usually handled is that when they located the flags, that was done by a survey instrument. And for each one of the locations, there's a coordinate, much like what you would do with your handheld GPS. Except for this is very accurate location rather than approximate that the handheld GPS would have. And so when they go to stake out the 50-foot no-touch buffer to put in their limit of work, don't go beyond this point, they're using that same survey data to establish where that line is. So it's all accurate that way. And if we have any question, usually what, even though you can't see the flag anymore, quite often I can walk through and see the knot that's still left on the twig, unless the twig's gone. But usually you'll find enough of the knots to let you know that the line is there. And that's I guess it's a kind of a compromise that everybody has with flagging a wetland. You don't want it to be so permanent that it destroys the beauty of the woods, but yet they get brittle in the winter and they fall off. And
The reason I ask the question is when you, at least from the older drawings, when you look at the project off of Sunset and then the Woodrow Lane project, there's a pretty significant area where the width of the wetlands is only 50 feet or so. So any encroachment on that, you're going to end up with no wetlands. So to me, I think it's important that the delineation of the thing be real clear out there.
Yeah.
It would be very easy to.
And again, I think that's the basis for my initial questioning of him is this compiled or is it accurate from a survey? And that really makes a difference. And when they're compiled, it's plus or minus. When it's done from a survey, it's within a hair width location of accuracy. And that's, again, if they're doing a survey work.
Okay, so we have a little work on this one. Do you want to address the other plan at the same time? And
now, if I could ask what the little chuckle was it because of trying to squeeze a house in there? Is that what the chuckle was?
Yeah, this is the tight one.
It sure is tight.
Okay, so we have the same cul-de-sac in this location here at the bottom of the page. This is lot 7 that we just talked about. And then lot 6 is roughly 214 square feet. We have a high tension wire that runs through it.
214,000?
214,000. 214,000, sorry.
That's all right.
So we have a high tension line easement coming through here. This is all wet, as you can see. It comes around to here, so that's all wetlands. We have a detention basin which is constructed in this location here. Basically, it slopes towards the back. This triangle piece right here is roughly, I wanna say 14,000 square feet in size, and that's basically where the house and the septic are gonna go. Proposed house in this location here. The septic system will be in the front yard in pink, and then the reserve area is in this location right here. The systems are large because of the perk rate that we had, that they had got at the time. It's a 34 minute perk rate, so that's why the systems are so big. It is a 4-bedroom house, so it's the same size, just that they're different perk rates. We have proposed recharge in this location here, and then the water line's gonna squeeze along the side and come into the house. This is a front entry because of the width that we're working with, and this is a walkout. So this is at grade in the back of the house, and the front yard will be raised because of the septic, and they'll walk around. And then also along the no disturb, where the erosion control is, we are gonna also have those PVC markers that you require. And that's it.
I'm not too bright, but I'm just wondering, what happens when the wetlands are saturated? Where does the water go? Just off the top of your head, if you have, because I'm just wondering, because I've had so much water for 40-some years.
Well, wetlands would creep, so your wetland is way over here, which is 50 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
So if the wetland does fill, I mean, this is all sloping down too. You look in the wetlands, up here is roughly 106, and then down by the high tension easement is roughly 95. So there is quite a difference in elevation from this side of the lot to that side. But if it did fill up, it would creep back into the 50-foot no disturb.
And who's abutting that? Whose backyard is that, above the green? Yeah, right, you know?
Wetlands.
No, right.
Right here?
What is it?
That's the lot. This is what the lot looks like. So here's the cul-de-sac, and then the lot is very large.
That's again.
Because it's all wetlands.
It's all wetlands.
It's all on the other side of the
So everything in the front yard of the house,
Say that again, please.
everything in the front yard of the house, from the front of the house, is all gonna go down the driveway?
Draining down the driveway
Correct.
into
Yep.
the storm drain, and then
No, basically, let's see. This is coming this way. This is kind of, yeah, so this
Everything in the
area
front.
here will come down the driveway, but some of it will go along the back, and that will go off into the basin. This is your high point in the front yard?
The house is gonna be right up to that.
Correct.
'Cause you're
And
taking it over.
everything's sloping away from the house.
So everything from the house, the corner of the house is gonna go back.
Correct. It could go this way. This is all graded towards the basin, so that's just sheet flow from the yard. Some of the driveway will go this way into the swale. There is a swale that runs along here and directs it towards the back. So some of this driveway will go this way just because of, the grade, and then some of it will go down the driveway and go into the drainage system. But not much. I think most of it's gonna go directly into the basin and then into the swale and out towards the back.
So most of this water, a lot of the water's gonna come from the front of the house.
Correct.
How much
Right.
more from the?
Yeah, the septic is outside of the 100-foot buffer. Just half of most of the structure is in the 100 to 50. I do have this is 15 feet, 20, and that's around 17 feet to get around the house. But because of the size of the lot and the perk rates, that's the only location where the septic could go, and the house. That's basically the only locations.
You actually have the leach field underneath the driveway?
Correct. Yep. As long as you have a vent, you can have it under a driveway.
An H20,
Right.
H20 load capable structures such as piping, Schedule 40 piping, or the chambers need to be able to have traffic over the top of them. And as long as they do that, that's all right. But I do have a couple questions. Who owns the 2 parcels?
Same IW HUD.
Oh, so-
Woodrow Estates.
So the original developer still owns the parcels.
Correct.
And how much room is there between the back of the deck and the 50-foot no-touch buffer?
And this one,
Yes.
15 feet?
And a future owner who likes to have a pool, a garden, swing set, maybe a little area to play ball with the kids, where are they gonna do it? Out front?
They could, yeah, they can't put a pool out front, but they could, that's where their area would be to,
So would, I know I know this is theoretical, but it seems to me that a future homeowner looking at these PVC pipes in the backyard would say, oh, well, maybe we could mow behind them and make our yard a little bit bigger and put the swing set up over there and completely disregard the reason for the PVC markers delineating the no-touch buffer.
we could put either boulders along the 50-foot, which would be more permanent, or if you wanted some kind of split rail fence like I've done in other towns that are more permanent, that takes, no gate, no access to that area. So it's something like that. I mean, if you put boulders, then you can walk between the boulder, but if you put a post and rail fence, a continuous one from the property line to the edge of the basin, then that would restrict anyone from, you'd have to walk over it. I could.
It's marked as a conservation easement on the plan, but we don't actually have the document, so I think this one really does require the original developer to put it on record as not only with a plan, but with a written document that this is a conservation easement, that the buyer's gonna be known about that right away when they have their title search done. And I think we should probably consider something like a permanent fencing of some
This will
sort.
be a tough one to inspect and enforce that far back,
You just don't see it when you swing around the
Right.
cul-de-sac. And actually, the other lot is a little bit bigger, so, maybe we don't need a fence on that, but we could ask for one. It's up to the commission. And then I guess the last concern I have is when the two houses are built together, as they're being proposed tonight, with the grading that kind of overlaps the boundary line, what happens if one sells before the other and owner on the right side says, oh, I don't want you grading over onto my land? How are we going to handle that?
That's why they're gonna be built at the same time. So the grading is gonna be, the grading, basically what's gonna happen is this pad for lot 7's already sold. So this pad for lot 6 will be brought to grade, and all the proposed grades that you see will be constructed before they release lot 7 to the new
Will the
homeowners.
house be built too?
The house doesn't have to be, as long as the final, as long as the grading, the pad grade matches what's here, then the house, they can go in and they can build a house after. I don't know if they're gonna build the house at the same time, but as long as they get this pad grade, the final grade that's shown on the plan, if that's, especially the side slopes, that's what more, like John had mentioned, this is what's concerning, because some of the grading goes over on lot 7. So that would have to be constructed. So when the person purchases this and moves in, this grade is already here, it's already stabilized, and then all they have to do, if they don't construct this, is come in, put the driveway, dig out the system, and dig out the
And
foundation.
then when they go to do the grade before the house, then they gotta go back in there, disturb the ground.
Well, they also could get grading easements from the abutter, but, because they're purchasing from the same developer, so that's why, that's why they're gonna build these together. I don't know if they're gonna build the house, though, at the same time, because that lot 6 isn't sold yet.
So we may have to have a condition of approval, if it gets approved, that would require that the grading be done, even if the house isn't built. And then that means they go back and dig it up, but because somebody else now owns the land, they can't regrade over onto the other property. So they'll have to live with that grade. So I think we can cover it with a condition that the overall grading gets done at the same time.
I mean, the developer could ask, he could request an easement from this person, so if he asked them, you know, we're gonna have a temporary grading easement, they could also do that. We could also do that with a temporary grading easement for one time, if they have to go back. But these people would have to agree to it. But the idea was to build the two lots together, get this grade to final grade. You know, it'd be nice if they could build both houses at the same
Yeah, that
time,
would be nice.
and then just do one shot. But they could do that. They could just build a spec house there.
I'd like to see that happen, that all done at once.
I think that's the way
If
to,
you're going to all this trouble to try to squeeze these houses in there and try to
Right.
get the grade right, do it all at once instead of,
the only easement that we really can monitor and make sure it gets done is a conservation easement. These temporary grading easements, if the developer didn't do it, there's no way for us to interfere at that point. So I think an order of conditions that says grade it to at least, let's say, 30 feet off the lot line and onto the other property in order to get your certificate of compliance. So what that does is it requires the developer, when he goes to put the septic system in, maybe to dig down through that fill, but it's gonna be on that lot and not affecting the other one. And he or she would be crazy to not save that fill that he removes out while they're doing the construction, because they brought it in, paid for it. Now they would stockpile it and put it back. So I think we're protected on that, or at least the future homeowner would be. So I think that's all right.
Anybody have any more comments or concerns on lot 10? Yes.
And I'm not familiar with it. Why was not all this done before? Why is it, does it typically come in, individual lots get, go through this process? Or
Yes.
Yep.
It is for each
Yeah,
individual?
they do
lot?
one master one for the road and layout,
Mhm.
and then each lot goes individually again as they get sold or developed.
We don't have a file number on this one.
We don't have a file number.
So
on
with
this
that one, this one has to
It
be continuing.
continued no matter what.
Yeah.
I think at this point, we have enough questions on both of them. We want to continue till the next meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion?
I have one
Second.
question though.
Yep.
Before. Are you gonna wanna see the as-built of the basins and the roadways before you close these two?
Yes,
Yes.
I think we want to make sure that
So
everything's.
I'm probably gonna have, it's gonna take a little bit to do. Cause I mean, you gotta as-built the whole road and I think there's two ponds.
There
And
is, yes.
verify all the inverts on.
First one in June or the second one in June?
I'd rather go to the first one in June.
And then continue.
Yeah,
let us
if I
know
can
you
get
need
it
to.
done to then, if I can get it before then, and you'd wanna see that before the meeting too, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, if we could continue to the first meeting in June.
Okay. Moved and seconded to the first meeting in June. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. So we will continue this one to the first Tuesday in June, 6:30. So if anybody wants to come back to this one to see what we end up with.
So that's June 6th?
Yep. And what I would say is if anybody wants to, just give a call to the office beforehand to make sure there isn't a continuance, so you don't have to come out for a meeting that,
Like on the day of the hearing.
yeah, on the day of the hearing, so that we can not have you all come here for a meeting that got moved.
Yeah.
Unless you wanna hang out with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I'll send an email to Mr. Shalick about the fact we want that as-built. Thanks.
But that may not have been the final.
Yeah,
Which I think.
I'm not sure it was.
Right.
Exactly.
which I think
I don't think so, because those are new. Those are new maps.
I can see how that, you know.
Yeah.
Make these questions.
No, I have to get things in both ears, but I'm waiting until I go out west, because I don't wanna fly with them. It's probably because of my implant.
No, I didn't know that there was
I've heard that, so,
a lot of issues
but I'm
with
watching
that.
him talk.
Because I talked to
Yeah,
one
but
about
you've heard
it,
that
and I sent
before.
her
Read
the
the phone
plans
ring, people
PDF,
have
but
mustaches.
that's all I, no one else called me.
Yeah, they came in,
And I said to the student, I'm sorry,
Is there a map that we could
iPad.
have that you're looking at, or is that against the rules? I mean, we don't know what you're really looking at versus what we all received in the mail. Is that okay? Oh, that'd be awesome.
that's number 10.
Okay.
And this is number 9.
Awesome. Thanks.
They're not colored up, but
That's all right. That's all right. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we have a continued public hearing on the agenda for 227 and 323 South Hill.
As my report indicates, the applicant's engineer, the applicant's consultant asked that they be able to meet with one of the commission members, me, and the applicant and his consultant to discuss this location of an easement and discuss the delineation fee or adjustment to it depending on the easement. And I'm not sure exactly what it's all about, other than they do probably have some concerns.
Negotiation of some kind.
Yes. So he suggested that we do that next week, or between now and the next meeting. And as it turns out, I'm not going to be here the end of next week, so I'll have to probably get it done the beginning of next week, so that I'll have a report ready for the next meeting. That's if the commission so wants to have that done. And there's only, 2 members that basically would have the flexibility in your time to be there, but feel free, once I know when they're going to set it up, I'll let you know, and you guys can come in and sit, listen to it. And Tim, if it was that important that you wanted to take off from
Let me know
work.
the date and time, and they might be able to arrange a schedule.
But if not,
Okay.
I wouldn't,
Mo and I could come.
yeah.
Then I
I-
need to post it as a continuance.
Assuming we're not
Right, but at this point then we'll,
in Hungary or something.
This negotiation for, to be able to use maybe the top of the
Berm.
berm there.
Berm.
As a
easement to get to the back for a walking
trails
path
and
or
all that.
trail.
Get up to Flaggy Meadow and that kind of thing. Alexander's parcel.
Which I
So-
think is worth pursuing.
Which I think he, in his best on fees and all that stuff, would be better for him,
Oh, definitely.
so.
It's 3 times the value of the land otherwise. $150 a day is for 10 years.
But even the delineation fee alone is.
Oh.
Do we have an estimate?
John,
That's
you'll
the
have to
thing.
let me know to,
Way more than the
when
project's worth.
to post
Is
that.
it?
For what date?
Yep. I'll try to find out, tomorrow I'm off, but I can always email them from wherever I am, and see if I can get a time, because we have to post it if 2 members, that doesn't make a quorum.
Yeah,
So
if
there's
there's.
3 or
if
more.
two, yeah,
3 or more
for this
show
one.
up.
So
To be on the safe side.
let's figure out when it's gonna be, then decide
Right,
whether
figure
we
how
need to
many.
post the meeting, and if not, then we just do it, and it's informal, that type of thing.
Yeah,
No
I think
votes would be
that's better
taken.
because you don't know what they're proposing
Right,
or
and,
what we even wanna, you know,
yeah, no decision would be made,
Yeah,
it's just a
no,
fact
We
finding.
just receive the information
Okay.
and.
I got you.
All right.
So I'll entertain a motion to continue to May 17th,
So I'll make the motion.
For both of them?
both of them.
I'll make the motion.
Moved.
Second.
Seconded, all those in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? So moved. And you have a number 6 on your items,
Yep.
John. A land donation?
Yes, the landowner for 161 Ash Street, who has 22 acres of land, that's, he's had a botanist in to look at it and has been informed that it's not that kind of land to develop.
Where is it, John?
Almost across from Reynolds Landing,
On the opposite side of the street?
opposite side.
Okay.
Yeah, how would he do anything with that land anyways?
And it has some drainage that comes off of South Main Street, State Highway system drainage that comes down onto his land, so he's impacted by that. He's got some quasi-ponding area on it that during the winter the kids in the neighborhood when he was young would skate on it. It probably overgrown now and that kind of thing, but he did say that the Boy Scouts used to camp in different parts of it, so it's not all wet, but it just isn't set up to be developed. And he wants to donate it, and I told him I'd bring it before the commission, see if you wanted to pursue it. If you do, I'll spend some time walking it and figuring out what kind of good land there is for trail systems, because it's right on the Bay Circuit Trail. Goes right in front of the property. It's that's it,
Yeah.
161.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's on the other side?
Yep.
Oh,
He
okay.
might set up like an easement for the,
Oh,
for
that's
a trail.
good. That's a good piece.
I mean,
Instead of donating?
well, I mean, 22 acres is a lot of
Tax.
tax money to,
Well, that's,
Give up.
right, that's what I was wondering, is the powers to be gonna want us to take that off the tax?
I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, if we could work out a deal with them, taking on a certain part for trails and all that stuff, get a
But if
tax
it's
deduction on it.
Not developable to
No,
begin with.
but still, I mean, how long has he had it for, do you know?
It's been in the family, and he's retired and on a fixed income now.
So now it's a burden to him.
It's a
with
burden.
taxes. So, I can understand, but I mean,
And
Chunk of land.
he wanted to try to sell it, but nobody wants it because of the wetness of it, and so it's not valuable to them, so he's kind of stuck with not very many options, and that's why he came in.
so
Maybe
even,
some spots.
yeah, even
Be
parts
nice
of it,
if
like
you
you
could still
said,
skate up
is good for
Not too many
walking
ponds
through,
left.
not,
Boy Scout camping,
yeah,
that kind of
I
thing.
mean, if we can get some kind of deal with taking out parts of it towards tax deduction on them.
So what I'll do is, it sounds like you're interested, I'll spend
Yeah,
a
I think
little,
it's worth pursuing
little
to
time.
see if it-
I wouldn't want to devote any time to it, because there's plenty of other things to be doing, but if you're interested, I will pursue it a little bit more and find out a little bit more about it. He only came in yesterday, so.
Is it that big? Is that all of it?
Yeah,
right there?
that's it.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's big.
Paula, can you?
Oh, you want to take a look at this? That's the property. I was just putting that in yeah, that's huge. What is the number?
Good size
161.
area. Where is it?
161.
That's,
Yeah, 161,
when
is that right,
Hayward Tire
John?
becomes a dirt road,
Yep.
the very middle
161.
part of it.
Here,
The river's over here,
instead of go by
and this is
trees,
28.
go down
Comes up by the
What was
old
Mom
city.
asking me for this?
And how do you?
28.
Between
Was he
Yeah,
looking for?
asking me for
Yeah,
something.
the Reynolds
Right out
Road
there.
is over
And
here.
Why do
Then
they
go
call
all
that?
out, you make
It's huge, yeah.
Boat landing.
And it's all wet?
Majority of it is.
No.
No, I mean,
That's huge,
yeah,
piece,
I
yeah.
mean, like you said, there is that wet area in the middle that
Possibility.
How long?
Pond's still there.
pond looks
Like
like.
paying taxes on this, for how long? That's like Danny Howard.
It's,
I know,
it was-
look at it.
It was his mother's land, and he now owns it through the estate of his mom.
Yeah.
It's been probated, and so it was, he's retired, so,
Yeah.
And you said
If
there's
he-
like little water on there, little little,
yep.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the
ponding.
pond that he's
Yeah.
talking about.
Wow. That's cool. That's a nice piece of property for like,
61 land.
So I'll put together some plot plans and some resource plans compiled from Oliver and the Mass GIS. Walk it, see what it looks like, take some pictures, and give you a report.
Great.
And other than that, I think just have
We only had Wendell Ave and Pearl Road septic drainage.
still nothing.
Those are,
Although Pearl Road, he is purchasing the stock from North, is it, one out in Amherst. The New England wetland.
plans, okay.
So this is the determination signature page. So the Pearl Road restoration is making progress. Wendell, still waiting for, I did get a call that somebody did go down it again, so we may have to post it.
I think
So,
You're always so surprised.
we are done.
I'm hearing anticipating the second with the yippee behind it.
Woohoo.
So there's a standing second that always happens, so
That's right.
don't step on her toes.
Do I have a motion?
close.
Second.
A second?
Woohoo.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, we got a yoo-hoo instead of a yippee.